come on. Fairway, 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 fairway. Ah, no! No, 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 no. Oh, it's cart pathed as well. Oh, it's cart pathed. Oh. There are so many of you golfers out there that have functioning golf swings and yet can't seem to find the fairway. You might be someone at the driving range who smashes it down the middle and thinks, I can't wait to play, only to find yourself slicing, hooking the ball in a direction where you don't want to go. So what I've done within this video is set out certain things that you can do with your current golf swing. So this isn't about massive changes to your technique, but more how you can adapt yourself right now to find the short grass a little bit more often and give yourself a bit more control over your second shots into greens. Or if you're going for a par 5 in 2, of course. And I know you are. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can structure your range practice a little bit differently to enable you to understand your swing a little bit better, the type of equipment that you should be using, but also stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to be giving you a really good tip that you can use on the golf course. I've used this with clients and I've used this myself, and it really, really works to help find more fairways. And while I have you guys, please hit that subscribe button, wallop that like button with unbridled enthusiasm. I've actually heard that hitting like on a fairway finding YouTube video increases your chances of hitting fairways by 6,000%. I'm not entirely sure that's mathematically possible, but we'll give it a go. So as mentioned, you might be a golfer that gets to the driving range and smashes the ball down the middle and thinks, you know what, I can hit a good tee ball. And then once you get to the course, it all falls apart. Now, there's a couple of things that I need to say about this. When you're going to the driving range, you need to try and make that more like a game situation, because the driving range and the golf course are very different places. On the driving range, like this mat, it's a nice flat surface. I'm in a controlled environment. There's no wind, there's nothing. So when you get to the driving range, make your practice with the big stick a lot more target orientated. So using the Foresight software and the quad here, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit 10 drives. Using the software, I'm going to be able to analyze where the ball has gone, where it's finished, and by how much. Now, if you don't have access to a quad, if you don't have access to launch monitor technology, there's literally nothing stopping you at a driving range marking out a fairway, whether it be markers on the fairway, if there's a fairway at your driving range, wherever it may be. Make sure that you have a target area. Don't make it too wide, like 30 yards is pretty generous. And just have a little notepad. And through your 10 shots, after you've hit the rest of your clubs, after you've had a good warm-up, mark where those balls are going. So if you carve one right, for example, and it finishes 10 yards to the right of your fairway, mark down, right, 10 yards, and then how the shot actually felt. So was it heel, was it toe, and was it a slice? Or did you push it? Everything about that shot, note it down. So I'm going to hit 10 shots here. I've got the sim driver. Wow. I mean, look at that. That's missed 2 fairways, that. 2 fairways. So let's have a little bit of a look at this data. Now, I know that my tendency when I miss is generally off to the right-hand side. And a lot of the shots that I hit showed that. So let's say you did this test either using a quad or out on the driving range, wherever it may be, and you noted down that you had 7 misses off to the right, you had 1 miss off to the left, and then 2 that went down the fairway. What this would overwhelmingly tell you is that you have a dominant miss off to the right. So when you got to the golf course, it would make sense that you would aim yourself a little bit further off to the left-hand side, as that gives you a wider landing area to the right. It's about playing your misses and understanding where your shot shape is going. Because when you get to the golf course, the chances are you're not going to be able to fix any swing faults once you're on the tee. You got to play with what you've got. And if you're finding that you're missing a little bit off to the right-hand side, there's absolutely no shame in aiming further off to the left. But it's early in the morning, I found that driver difficult to move. And is there anything that I can do within club technology to help me hit more fairways? Now, the first driver that we used was the sim driver from TaylorMade, which is a low spinning bomber. If you're swinging well and striking it well, it's a fantastic driver. However, if you are someone who needs help with accuracy off the tee, and you're watching this video, so I guess that's probably you, you might want to consider a few different options when sticking driver in the back. Now, as always, I would always recommend if you are getting a new driver, you get fit for it. And if you are dabbling in the second-hand club market, there are a few things that you need to look out for. So I have the G425 Max from Ping here. Now, this is an exceptionally forgiving driver. It's a 460cc head, so that's the maximum allowed by the rules. And when you have a club head that big, what the engineers do is they push the perimeter weighting to the outside, so that gives you more forgiveness across the club face, but they also put a lot of weight at the back of the club. This increases something called moment of inertia. That is a club's resistance to twisting as you hit. But you can think of a high MOI driver as a forgiving driver. And the G425 Max is very, very forgiving. What I've also done on this driver, it's a 9-degree head, but I've actually upped it to 10.5 degrees of loft. Loft gives forgiveness on a driver. It'll generally increase the amount of backspin, and with a high MOI head, this is going to help you find more fairways. So this is the same hole. I've got an X-Stiff shaft the same way as my Sim, but I've obviously got more loft and a much more forgiving club head. Let's see what happens. A quick comparison. That is a decent start. So it's got a little bit more backspin, so it's going to be flying a little bit less distance. The G425 club head as well, when it sits down, it also has a little bit more toe-in bias, so the club face sits a little bit more closed. Wow, there we go. So within that, I've not changed any of my swings. I felt like I was swinging a little bit more smoother with the Ping. But as far as accuracy goes, you can tell the difference straight away. I won't go on too much about shaft, because different shafts can offer different deliveries. And shafts are very individual to your feel as well. But those general rules of a big club head, 460 max, perimeter weighting pushed to the outside and low and deep in the head, that's going to encourage launch. It's going to encourage a little bit more spin, more forgiveness, and generally more accuracy. Now let's talk about a golden rule that you can follow on the golf course to help you hit more fairways. So you've done your practice and you understand where your misses may be going. But what can you do technically different on the golf course to try and make sure you find the short grass a little bit more often? When you're playing, the chances of actually being able to change your swing effectively, they aren't that high. Remember, you've got all these different things to consider of target, where you're trying to hit it, where the dangers are, what the wind is, and everything else. So to try and add in a swing change to that mix, that's difficult, that's hard, almost impossible. However, what the driving range test should have shown you is that you have some type of functioning swing. You can move the ball forwards. If on the driving range test, by the way, if you're topping it, just hitting along the ground, there are other coaching videos that you can watch as well, but also please get yourself a lesson. However, there is a rule that you can use on the course, which is a fantastic way of getting more control. Now I call it the 75% rule, or the 7 out of 10 rule. Whatever you want to call it, I'll explain how it works. So you tee the ball up, and I want you to take 2 practice swings. The first practice swing is maximum effort. It's 100%, it's 10 out of 10, whichever way you want to look at it. I want you to feel like you're swinging really hard. And then on the second practice swing, what I want you to do is dial it right down to 5 out of 10, or 50%, whichever way you want to look at it. That is 50% of your potential speed. Now just notice the difference between these 2 practice swings. And then when you get onto the ball, what I want you to do is build in your miss. So for me, I'll be aiming slightly further left. And then I'm going to try and swing at about 75%. Now the reason that that is important is when you're trying to find the fairway, it's about quality of contact and club face control. And it is a lot easier to control your club face when you're swinging at a slightly slower speed. And because within your routine you've had a very hard swing and then a soft swing, to find that middle ground actually becomes a lot more easy. And it gets you focusing on your swing tempo rather than your technique. And that is important. We want you thinking about controlling speed, not about controlling your swing. The smoother that technique, the more chance you have of controlling the club face. Now I've tried this with lessons and I've also tried this with myself and it does work. So go through that practice routine on the driving range, understand what driver that you're using, and then use the 7 out of 10 rule, whatever you want to call it, out on the golf course. And once you've done that, get down into those comments and let me know how you get on. So hopefully this will help. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and come down here for more videos, which are all designed to help you improve your game.